Yeah, no, there's never been anything brought to my attention or anything along those lines that's ever said, you need to change this or do this or anything along those lines. It was almost as if it was just a complete blindside. The administrators in the building, from our athletic director to our principal to superintendent, have constantly said, we're 100% back you. We've got your back. In fact, I have excellent evaluations. And to my knowledge, the recommendation at the board meeting was, to be rehired and to continue going the direction we're going. And apparently we had a few board members that saw it otherwise.
You anticipated my next question. Is there anything from a fitness standpoint, either as a teacher or as a coach, that would have led you to believe that this might be in the offing?
Definitely not. Like we said, I wasn't even notified that this would even be an inkling of having some type of trip up or anything like that at the board meeting. In fact, if that was the case, then I definitely would have been there to at least try to voice my opinion and maybe be heard a little bit. But to my knowledge, there was no discussion at the board meeting. There was no talk or anything along those lines as far as before the voting went. It just come down and they said that it was time to vote to retain coaches or not to retain coaches, and they went through the other sports programs for the winter as far as that's concerned and got to girls basketball, and my vote was 4-3 to not retain. And then right after that, they retained the rest of our staff. So again, I don't know if it was just a personal thing of not wanting me there and being in charge, or if it was an entire staff thing. But again, they rehired the whole rest of our staff and just not myself.
Including your father.
Yeah, he in fact, from my understanding, his was right after mine, and he was rehired and as a volunteer assistant. And we had another volunteer assistant that was rehired as well. And again, we're making votes on whether or not to retain volunteer assistants, I guess, if you will. And people that volunteer their time get paid nothing, that do it out of the pure love and joy of the game and loving the kids and wanting to be a part of the program and something special. And all those people were retained, which they should have been. They do a great job and work extremely hard. And it was just kind of just a little bit of a shock, I guess, today when they come in this morning to tell you, you weren't retained last night as a basketball coach, and everybody else was rehired.
Can you think of any reason, any run-ins you might have had with anybody over the course of the years that would have indicated to you that you were in any kind of jeopardy? Did you feel at any point in the last 7 years that you were in jeopardy of losing your job?
Yeah, I think anytime that you run a program with kind of the stature of what Carthage or even Illini West now has been, you always have some people that don't like the way you do things and certain things like that. And you kind of go to the old adage, you can't please everybody. And I think that's exactly kind of what it come down to a little bit. I think we had some people that had maybe a little bit of vendetta or whatever it might have been, that certain kids didn't play or didn't get as much time as they would have liked. And that's kind of the situation you're in as a coach. You're in a spot where the expectation level at Illini West is to win and win consistently, and that's something that we've tried to do and tried to carry over since the Carthage days. But it's also one of those things where people want their kids to play, and they want their kids to play significant minutes. And you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either you're building a program of we're looking here to win, or we're looking to play everybody equal amount of time. And when you get to the varsity level, it's no longer that 5th and 6th grade mentality of let's play everybody equal minutes, equal time, that sort of stuff. So I think we definitely had some people that were upset with maybe their kids' playing time and things along those lines, and I think that kind of carries over a little bit. But again, I think you have every program that kind of has that, the coach that deals with kids that aren't playing as much as you'd like or whatever it may be. But with the program that we ran and the system we tried to run, I think our kids got a lot of playing time and lots of opportunities where you see maybe some other type of systems that you're only playing 6 or 7 kids may not get that type of opportunity.
To the best of my knowledge, from the people I've talked to, your administration recommended you for rehire. I think you've heard the same thing at this point. The school board overruled that decision of people who are paid in excess total of over $100,000. Does the school board know better than the administration, vice versa in this one? I mean, you have to feel a little undercut, especially when you're told you have a vote of confidence from the people you're directly working for.
It is, and you can't really go in and speak to board members at the board and say, hey, I'd recommend you to rehire me. Of course, everybody's going to say that, but when you're paying people, like you said, excess amount of dollars to make those decisions and to basically run the school on a day-to-day basis, that's kind of what you expect them to do their type of job. And it's just, like you said, it's almost like an undermining, if you will, of the people you've hired to do their job, to make the decisions that you're paying them good tax dollars to make those decisions, and then just going abruptly, beyond that and going in the other direction. And again, we're with somebody like I said, with myself, that has a good track record, that has all excellent reviews as far as coaching and even teaching concerned as that goes. But I retain my teaching obviously with the tenure and stuff, but the year-to-year basis of coaching. But like I said, it's just kind of a blind side when you're hearing your athletic director, your principal, your superintendent tell you, that you got our vote of confidence, you're the man for the job and the guy that we want in place to do it. And then it goes to just a direct vote, and it's completely turned down with no discussion or no discussion on anything as far as the coaching is related. It's just a direct vote.
You touched on people that you've had run-ins with about playing time. Were any of those people school board members' children, I guess?
Yeah, we've had a couple instances where we've had school board members that were upset with their kids' playing time, and some of those are still on the school board as well, and you'd hope that wasn't one of the playing factors, but then again, you never know. You hire or you vote in school board members that you hope have the best, what's best for the kids in mind, and you're not only, when you're up for these votes and discussion type things, you're not just discussing what you want personally to see happen, but you should be thinking in considerations of what's best for the community, what's best for our school, what's best for our entire district, and you should also take on the recommendations of the people you're hiring to make those decisions. And from what I've seen just with this case in particular, my case in particular, we've had this issue. And it kind of goes back, we try to take a summer trip every year to take our kids above and beyond, to show them things that they wouldn't normally have the opportunity to do, to see, things like that. We've been to Tennessee, North Carolina, Duke. Last year we took a trip to Louisiana State University at LSU, and those trips are 100% fundraised by our kids. There's no taxpayer dollars coming out of school budget or anything like that as far as related. And every single year from the same people that I'm hearing are voting to not rehire me are the ones that don't like us taking these trips, that say they serve no purpose whatsoever, to say that our kids can get the same exact thing by staying here locally, playing these local kids, and I just disagree with them 100%. And you kind of wonder, is that something of it? Because I'm vocal, standing up for our kids and our kids' rights. And we look at it a lot of times as well, it's just girls basketball, and it's not girls basketball. It's basketball. They're athletes just like everybody else, and you're trying to give these kids an opportunity to see something and do something that otherwise they would never have the opportunity to do. And in fact, our kids have had the great pleasure of meeting Pat Summit, who sat on our bench and taking kids on a private tour of the locker room and things like that. And for them to be able to say that 10, 12 years down the road, to me, is something extremely special. And we've got the same people that think that that's a ridiculous trip and it's not a worthwhile trip, that are voting, to not rehire you and say that you're not the right person for the job. And I think that's what's kind of a little bit of a blow more than anything, is that it's not just basketball that we're trying to teach these kids. It's about life. It's life lessons, things like that. Our practices are about life lessons, and we talk about it every day. And just doing things in the community. Since I've been there, the 8 years and 7 years that I've been there, we've raised thousands of dollars for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We raised close to $3,000 for the Coaches versus Cancer to donate to our local hospital cancer research program. We do what we call Charger Christmas, where it's kind of taking care of families in need in our communities and giving them opportunities at Christmas time that they normally wouldn't have. And it's not, coaching isn't about the money. We don't do it about the money. You do it for the kids, and it's not where you coach, it's why you coach. And we're not coaching for the money for any means, but we're doing it for the kids. And I'm just really disappointed for our kids more than anything, to kind of the work and effort that they give me to kind of feel like I've left them high and dry, if you will, a little bit.
Zach, I'm not doing my job if I don't ask this question. Obviously, for a lot of reasons, the Illini West union has been a very positive thing. But at the heart of it, there are still three very separate communities with three very separate histories that all come into play. And as best I've been able to ascertain, looking at your board votes, it is the votes that are outside of Carthage that have come against you. Does that surprise you? Is that endemic of a problem that exists that's kind of gotten glossed over? Where does that resonate with you?
I don't know if it's a direct problem with everybody. It seems like the problem really is more with a lot of the adults that still have the mentality of it's three separate communities. The kids have bought into the fact that we're one, and do what's best for the school as a whole. But you still have got people that are, I guess, quote unquote old school, that still hang on to those bitter rivalries and that sort of stuff. And I think no matter what you do, you've always got people looking at that sort of stuff, whether it's a consolidated school or even a co-op for that matter. Even back in my playing days, I played for a school that was co-opted, and you had people that looked at it as, when you play basketball, basketball is a whole different ball game and mentality than football. The kids are out there. You can see who kids are. You don't have names on the back of jerseys or anything like that, but you only playing 5 kids at a time. It's easy to say that 3 kids are from here, or 2 kids are from there, and that sort of stuff. But it's a whole different ball game when you don't have a helmet on and that sort of stuff, and you're really more out there. But as far as it goes, where kids are playing from and things like that, we've never had that mentality. And I know that I had a coaching history with Carthage before, but it's never been we're playing these kids because of where they're from or who they're from. It's been a win-first mentality, and what are we going to do that's best for the program? What do we do best for the team? And every decision that has ever been made from my standpoint that trickled all the way down through the rest of our coaching staff for our team has been what's best for the team, not what's best for individuals. And a lot of times I think you get maybe parents, board members, whatever it may be, that look and would rather have a kid be an all-state or than have your team be a state champion. And that's where society, I think, is starting to turn a blind eye to what's in it for me mentality. And it's not about me, and it's not about it's about what's best for us. And that's what we've always tried to do with our program, and not really worried about where kids come from or the background or the history. What's best for the program and what can do to make us successful now.
You touched on it a little bit with all the extra things you do. I know you take great pride in that, and for you this has been more than a job, it's been a calling. Are you guilty perhaps of loving this job too much and maybe putting more into it than you could ever get back from it in terms of love? I mean, coaches in your profession will tell you today that it's dangerous ground for everybody, no matter who you are or how secure you think you are.
It is, and I think the biggest loser in the group is my family. It seems like a lot of times I spend more time with everybody else's kids than my own, and that kind of comes home and hit home a little bit today when you said, we've put all this time, this effort into this program to keep the mentality that it had, to continue to build on that tradition. And you look out, and it's really my family that's lost out a lot on time and things like that. And it's not just you just don't show up in the end of October, early November, and you're done in February. For us, it's a year-round thing. You take a couple months off here and there to try to recuperate, but you're back into March. In fact, we were in full swing of plans for the summer and trying to get that built up, and then you got an entire month of June where you continue to build camps and things like that, not just for your own program, but for the little kids. We go all the way down into kindergarten trying to get kids with a ball in their hand to continue the tradition sort of thing. And I think it's my kids that have missed out a lot on this, that you pour your heart and soul into it, and again, you don't do it for the money, you don't do it for fame or anything like that. You do it for kids. And my big thing is I hope that my kids could play for me one day, and a person of my mentality, that if my kids had that opportunity, I would do everything I could to let them play for a person that's going to give them every opportunity and cares about it as much as I do. And I think you get a bad rap a lot of times with high schools that people just show up and say, well, we're going to throw the ball and we're going to do this. Ours goes above and beyond that, and it's been more of a family than anything. And I've received so many text messages and phone calls today from past players and things like that, kids that you even had at Rushville, Carthage, and even kids that have graduated from Illini West that said, we've made a difference in their life and impacted their life, and they're better for it, and that's what I really appreciate.
Let's be selfish for a second, because I know it's hard for you to do that. Take your everybody else out of this. From a personal standpoint, from a level of crushing disappointment, where does this rank for you, given all that you've thrown into these kids and the fact that you have a lot of great kids that you've spent the last 7 years of your life investing in? You've got a lot of great kids who have bright futures at Illini West, who you're not going to get a chance to coach again, whether it's Gracie, whether it's some of these freshmen. Where's your heart in this whole situation?
It's almost like it's tore out and somebody stepped on it, and it's things where you're blindsided with it. You get the news this morning that, hey, there was a vote last night of 4-3, and people hold your whole life basically of what you pour your heart and soul into outside of teaching into, and they basically said, you can't do it anymore here. And I think that's what really hurts, is that not necessarily the chance that you don't have to coach these kids anymore, but to help them become better people on and off the court, and to do the things that we expect them to do as Chargers. We talk about doing things the Charger way and being a better person on and off the court, and having a better character and being a person that somebody wants to hire in the world when you graduate or when you go off to college, that they want you a part of their program, and because you come from a successful program of not just wins and losses, but how you handle yourself on and off the court and things like that. And I think that's what really hurts the most, that you can't continue that on with the life lessons through basketball. That's not to say that it can't happen in the hallways, in the classroom, but you just don't get as much connection, I guess, if you will, with what you get from coaching and being able to spend that much time with the kids. And that's that's what really hurts, But again, from the support that you got from former players and things like that, that's what makes it feel special to know that you made a difference in kids' life, and even kids that you haven't talked to for 7, 8, 10 years that are calling you today and saying, Coach, our hearts go out to you, and we appreciate everything you've always done, and that means a lot to me and our family as well.
Is it to some degree galling that people who don't understand basketball, that people who don't understand what you're doing in a practice on a given day, who maybe have never been athletes themselves or never been tested in a way that asks them to push beyond the limits they think that they have for themselves, is it galling to you that those type of people have this type of ability to take your job away in a vote's notice?
Oh, it definitely is. It's almost like going into McDonald's and saying, I don't like my French fries. Let's have a vote and fire this guy. And that's kind of how it feels like. We've got whether it's board members or even people from the community, for that instance. They're not there, during the summers, during the long hours in the morning, the afternoons. They're not there during the long hours of practice. You show up and you see basically the product that you see on game day, and you see a guy on the sideline. I know that a lot of people say, this guy's intense, and he just paces the sidelines, or he's hard on his kids. The expectations are extremely high. It's passion. It's a thing that you've worked extremely hard, and not just myself, but you've expected a lot out of these kids, and they've worked extremely hard, and you don't want them to settle. And I think that's what society does a lot of times to these kids, and everybody, just settle and be mediocre, and that's not what Illini West basketball is. It's about going above and beyond and being the best that you can possibly be. And when you think you can't run a little bit more, you can run a little bit more. There's still a little bit left in the tank, and it's about believing in yourself and believing in your teammates. And this year's team was a perfect example of that. Of not many people outside of the locker room gave you the opportunity to do what we did in the postseason, to win the games that we did down the stretch, and that's a testament to what the kids have bought in, to the hard work they put in that a lot of these people don't see. You show up on game night and say, well, they pulled this one away and won this one, or they lost that one, and they say, it's not about wins and losses, and then it comes down to what is it about? Is it about teaching kids life lessons? Because I think we're doing that. When it's about wins and losses, you look at the overall record, what it's been at least in the last 7 years at Illini West and Carthage for that matter. We've got a winning record. We're winning post games. We're winning regional championships. We haven't got it back to that state tournament caliber that Carthage had. But in the same sense, you look at basketball in our area, and you're fighting the West Hancocks who won the state championship, the state runner-up, and then when it wasn't West Hancock, it's Quincy Notre Dame. So when you look at our area as far as girls basketball is concerned, we're the hotbed of basketball, and it's a competitive nature. It's a competitive game, and it is what it is, but it goes above and beyond just game day. It's a lot to do with practices and summers and things like that.
But isn't that a double-edged sword too, Zach? I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out the fact, and I know you're two completely different people, I should say. Ken Schuster lost his job in very similar circumstances. I know you have different approaches, different mentalities, whatnot, but you both have the same level of success. Is it a double-edged sword being a coach in a community, in a county, with this much passion for basketball?
It is. It's a good thing. It's a bad thing. We tell people that every year. In fact, we bring it up to the kids and tell the kids every year, you don't realize how blessed you are to be in a community like this where the expectations are the way that it is. But in the same sense, the other side of that sword is when you do win a regional championship, I think a lot of times it goes, not necessarily turn a blind eye to it, but the kids don't get the recognition that they need to have. Winning a regional championship is a huge ordeal. You think about other programs in the state that would love to be in the situation you're at, where a lot of times if you don't win a regional, it's like, well, what happened? Why aren't you winning? And you don't celebrate those little things along the way. So it's good and it's bad. The thing that comes back to bite you is, if it's winning and you expect winning, we've been winning. And if you expect regional championships, the last 2 years we've won back-to-back regional championships. We've done that. You're hard pressed not to ask, what is the real reasoning behind it when there was no discussion or anything like that. But it is a double-edged sword of you expect to win, then you better win. And if that's not the case and you don't expect us to win and you want everybody to have equal playing time and whatever it may come to, then that's fine too. But you can't really have it, I guess, both ways.
You're one of the most positive people I know. I don't think that's a real surprise to anybody who follows you on social media, sees you tweeting out daily affirmations of very positive things to people. I can't imagine in your life, though, Zach, knowing you as I have, you've ever been fired from anything, have you?
This would be the first time, and it's not necessarily, we're not looking at it as you being fired. We just weren't retained as a coach necessarily. But, this is one of those ones where I kind of told my wife today, she was really upset about it. Obviously, my oldest son is going to be upset about it, but we said, you know, you got the Mega Millions coming up for $500 million. In my eyes, somebody's about to win the lottery where they're going to get a nice pickup somewhere, and it's going to be we'll bounce back. You know, it's not the end of the world. You know, I know it's a game of basketball, you know, and it's a game. It's something you put your heart and your passion into, but it's affecting lives. And I think some way we can go down the road, and this is a way that God said, you know, it's time to move on and find something different.
Is this still a coachable moment? I mean, and I know you as a guy who approaches everything in life, even tragedy, even very tough situations, as a coachable moment. What do you tell your kids when they start coming to you? What do you tell the girls when this news starts trickling out about perseverance and moving on just because the head guy has changed?
It is, you know, and I think any walk of life, you know, you go to a job and it may not have the same boss. You may not work with coworkers that you necessarily like, things like that. And we talk about that all the time, being teammates and being a better teammate for somebody else, and that's what it's got to be, you know. So, you know, whoever they decide to bring in, I wish them the best of luck, and I hope that, you know, they do as much for the community as what myself and our staff has done for the community. Because I think, you know, if you don't, that's what really suffers. It's not just the program itself; it's the community as a whole. And I want these kids to have the best that they can have. And if it's not me, then so be it. You know, but you know, whoever you decide to bring in, I hope for our kids' sake, our program's sake, and our community's sake that it is the right person for the job, and that you know, they can do a much better job than I did, and can go above and beyond, and give our kids even a better experience than what I gave them.
What next for you? I mean, does this sour you at all on the coaching industry? Does this change your bent? Do you take some time? I think it's not really going to be a surprise, Zach, that you're going to be a pretty popular guy if you decide to start flooding the market for resumes again.
You know, I think it's one where you're definitely open to all options. You know, you hate to pick the whole family up and move, especially when, you know, I've got my parents that live here, or my in-laws live here in town. So you hate to take your kids away from that sort of stuff growing up. But in the same sense, you know, maybe this is a blessing where I can spend some more time with my kids a little bit closer to home type thing. But you know, we've always kind of had the dream of moving on and maybe coaching at the next level and moving up to the next level at the college level. So, you know, who knows? Maybe there's a volunteer opportunity somewhere out there, or even an assistant program, or even moving on to a new challenge. And that's kind of how we look at it. You know, it's an opportunity to go for a new challenge. And I know there's been a lot of talk out there about, you know, a lot of different girls' jobs, things like that. And you know, I think I can do a good job as a boys' head coach as well, you know, because I think basketball is basketball. It's X's and O's, and it's not about, you know, saying this person's just coaching girls basketball, or you know, he's been successful with girls, but he's got no, you know, experience with the boys. I think it's about getting kids to buy into a program, getting kids to believe about themselves, and getting kids to work hard. And you know, if you look at the programs that I've been associated with, that's exactly what our kids do. They buy into the team concept. They buy into the we're going to outwork you concept. And it's not necessarily been about X's and O's or boys versus girls. It's been about what can we do together as a team to make everybody better. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that wants that brought to their program.
Last one for you. If you do coach again, and I am assuming that you probably will, knowing you at some point or at some level, do you change anything you've done? Does this experience sort of undercut anything you've done? Do you reevaluate who you are as a coach, or do you still believe those core tenets are what are going to make you successful?
Yeah, I think you got to stick with your core characteristics. You know, I don't think there's been anything that I've done as far as belittle players or holding grudges or anything along those lines. I think everything we've done, like I said, has been for the betterment of the team, and you know, it's been about what can we do to make our program better. And I think that's what we got to continue to do. And you got to continue to hold to your core values. And our core values have always been, you know, family first. You know, you got to have a good ties with your family. You got to have good ties with God as well. And you know, basketball is second nature, but it's all about, you know, what can you do to make yourself better, and sports does that for people. And so I think wherever the next venture may take us, it's going to be about what can we do to teach these kids to be better people, better citizens, you know, make society better as a whole. Because, you know, like we've told our kids all through the program, you're going to find that rarity where a kid's going to go on and play professional basketball, and basketball is going to pay the bills. You know, what's going to pay the bills is what kind of job you're going to get, what kind of person you're going to be, what kind of hire does somebody want. Do they want person of character, person of value? And I think that's what we try to teach our kids in all of our programs that we've been. You know, of course, winning helps out, and you've got that success and that type of mentality. But knowing that you're a better person once you went through a particular program, hopefully we'll carry that on, and that's what we're going to carry on to the next program that we face.